Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavala Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janapala Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janapala Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janapala Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunachira Vanachari Yamunachira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 19, Text 2, translation and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai. Okay, word for word. Tata Sapatnam Mukataha Charantam Akutaha Jagana Utpatya Gadaya Anau Asuram Akshajaha Tata Sapatna Mukatash Charantam Ukuto Bayam Jaghanotpatya Gadaya Anavasuram Akshajaha Tata Sapatna Mukatash Charantam Akuto Bayam Jagannotpatya Gadaya Anavasuram Akshajaha Tata Sapatna Mukatash Charantam Akuto Bayam Jagannotpatya Gadaya Anavasuram Akshajaha.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. We're ready for you. Jagannath Prabhu, you're still muted up there.
Tata sapatnam mugatash charantam akuto vayam chakhano patyagaya anavasuram akshajaha
Dasapatnam Mukatash.
Okay, Maharaj, we can hear you.
Dasapatnam Mukatash. Charantam Makutobhayam. Jnanotpatya Gadaya. Anavasuram Akshajaha.
Tatasapatnam Mukatash Charantam Kutobhayam Jaganotpatya Gadaya Anavasuram
Sapatnam mugatash charantam akuto vayam anavpatyagaya anavasuram akshajaha Sapatnam mugatash
Charantam Makuto Bhayam Jaghanotpatya Gadaya Anavasuram Akshajaha
Tasapatnam Mukatash Charantam Makutobhayam Jagannotpatya Gadaya Anavasuram Akshajaha
Tata sapatnam mugatash Tata sapadnam mukatash
Karantam Akutobhayam
charantam akutobhayam
Jaghanapatya Karaya
dhananupatya garaya
Anavasuram Akshaja
anavasuram akshajaha.
तथा सपत्ना मुखतर्ष
Tata sapadnam mukatash
चरन्ताम् अकुतो भयम्
charantam akutobhayam
चपात्मत्पतयो कतया
dhananupatya garaya
हनामसुरम् अक्षजः
anavasuram akshajaha.
तथा सपत्ना मुखतर्ष
Tata sapadnam mukatash
चरन्ताम् अकुतो भयम्
charantam akutobhayam
जगन्नोत्पत्य करया
dhananupatya garaya
हनामसुरम् अक्षजः
anavasuram akshajaha.
Ajit Prabhu, are you ready?
Hare Krishna. Tatha sapatna mukhatas
Tata sapadnam mukatash
charanta makuto bhayam
charantam akutobhayam
jaghanotpatya gadaya
dhananupatya garaya
hanava shuram akshajaha.
anavasuram akshajaha.
Ladies,
ततः सप्तनं मुक्तः
Tata sapadnam mukatash
चरन्तमकुतो भयं
charantam akutobhayam
जगानोत्पतया गदया
dhananupatya garaya
अनावासुरमक्षजः
anavasuram akshajaha.
ततः सपत्नं मुखतः
Tata sapadnam mukatash
चरन्तम् अकुतो भयम्
charantam akutobhayam
जघानोत्पत्य गदया
dhananupatya garaya
हनाव आसुरिमक्षजः
anavasuram akshajaha.
Word for word. Tataha.
ततः
Then. Sapatnam. Enemy. Mukataha. In front of him. Charantam.
चारन्तं
Stalking. Akutavayam.
अकुतावयं
Fearlessly. Jhana.
जघान
Struck. Utpatya.
Utpatya
After springing up.
after springing up.
Gadaya.
Gadaya
With his mace.
with his mace.
No.
Ano
At the chin.
at the chin.
Asuram.
Asuram
Demon.
the demon.
Akshajaha. Nostril of Brahma.
The Lord is born from the nostril of Brahma.
Translation. The Lord, who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma, sprang, aimed his mace in Ranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly. So I think we'll just read like the next in text is its nectar, and there's no purport. So. Okay, we can read the Sanskrit together. Sahata tena gadaya vihata bhagavat karat vigrinat panat reje tad abutam ibhavat. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as it fell down whirling. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderful. Satadalaptatirtopi nabhavadi nirayudam manayan samrade dharmam Vishvaksenam prakopayan. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe with obstruction, he respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord. Gadayam apavidayam hahakare vinirgate manayam asata dharmam sunhabam chashmaravibahu. As the Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of gods and rishis, the personality of Godhead acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness and therefore invoked his Sudarshan discus. Tam Vyagra Chakram Ditiputra Damina Swaparshada Mukena Vishajamam Chitravacho Tadvidam Kecharanam Tatrasmasan Swasti Te Munjahiti. As the discus began to revolve in the Lord's hands, and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha, a vile son of Diti, there issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you! Pray dispatch him. Play no more with him." 7. Satam nisham yataratangam agrato vyavastitam padma palasha lochanam vilokya chamarsha pariplutindriyo rushaswadantach charam adasachwasan. When the demon saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes just like lotus petals, standing in a position before him, armed with his Sudarshan discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent, and he bit his lip in great resentment. Karaladamstrashakshubhyam sanchakshano dahaniva abhiplutya swagaraya atostitya hanadarim. The demon, who had fearless tusks, stared at the personality of Godhead as though to burn him. Springing into the air, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain!" Padasavyena tamsado bhagavan yajya sukaraha lilaya mishita shatro praharadvataram hasam. O saintly Vidura, while his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of a tempest. Ahacha yudam adatswa gataswa tvam jigishasi ityukta satadabuyas padayanvya nadadrisham. The Lord then said, "Take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me." Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. Tamsa apatitim vikshya bhagavan samavastitaha jagraha lilaya praptam garutman eva panagim. When the Lord saw the mace flying toward him, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. Swaparushe pratihate hattamano mahasuraha Naichad gadam diya manam harina vigata prabaha. His valor thus frustrated, the great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by this personality of Godhead. Jagraha Trishikam Shulam Jwalaj Jwalana Lolupam Yagya Yadrita Rupaya Vipraya Bicharanyata. He now took a trident which was as rapacious as a flaming fire and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one would use penance for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahmana. Tadojasadaitya mahabhatarpitam chakasaranta ka udirna ditti chakrena chicheda nishata nemina hariryata tarksha patatram ujitam. Translation. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarshana, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. Purport. The context of the reference given herein regarding Garuda and Indra is this. Once upon a time, Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away a nectar pot from the hands of the demigods in heaven in order to liberate his mother, Vinata, from the clutches of his stepmother, Kadru, the mother of the serpents. On learning of this, Indra, the king of heaven, hurled his thunderbolt against Garuda. With a view to respect the infallibility of Indra's weapon, Garuda, though otherwise invincible, being the Lord's own mount, dropped one of his wings, which was shattered to pieces by the thunderbolt. The inhabitants of higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. In this case, Garuda wanted to show respect for Indra, since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something. He offered his wing. So yeah, in the passages we read, we got some really nice imagery of the fight between Hiranyaksha and Krishna, or Lord Boar. And Krishna, because he's trying to satisfy his devotees, engaged in this fight based on the prayers from the previous chapter by Lord Brahma. So we get this back and forth battle. It wasn't just, an easy battle, you could say. Krishna is expanding this battle for us so we can meditate on it for one purpose. We can meditate on it and participate in one of the processes of devotional service, Vishnu Smaranam. So when we remember this pastime, we're remembering Krishna and we become Krishna conscious, which is the point of what we're trying to do here, is become Krishna conscious. Because what's the alternative? Material consciousness. Shishigonitai ki jai. And we've all have experienced material consciousness, and well, for myself, still experiencing material consciousness. But reading the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us a outlet to extract ourselves from being in the material consciousness and dive into Krishna consciousness, which as we read and hear more, we start to understand the gravity of our need to do that, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. maybe not just in Srimad Bhagavatam class, but also outside of Srimad Bhagavatam class, we can read personally from Srimad Bhagavatam and make a study of it and use our intelligence, like Krishna advises in the end of the Bhagavad Gita. He's saying, if one uses his intelligence in my service, he's using it correctly. And that's valid. We should use our intelligence for Krishna. And that can be done in so many ways. We could serve Krishna by working a job and giving some of our funds to Krishna, or living in the temple because we realized, okay, I need to do this service here, and being in association of devotees all the time is so nice. So those are some examples of how we can use our energy and our intelligence in the service of Krishna. But His Holiness Don Goswami has a comment.
Yes. My sister opposed her children hearing stories of Krishna that had to do with killing. She liked the stories, but not the ones that had violence. It was difficult to explain to her, but it's been explained here is that if we don't have these pastimes to think about, then we'll think about other kinds of activities, fighting. It's like now no one has any idea that God's even a person practically. So they don't know that God does anything. And they certainly don't think he has any personal relationships and fighting and things. But he does. And if we understand behind it, don't just look superficially and say that's violence because this poor demon is going to get killed. But what is a poor demon? Poor demon means he's very ferocious and he's against all goodness. And he's doing things that are detrimental to those who are innocent and those who are helpless. So the Lord protects them. And he comes in these different forms, as a boar, as a half man, half lion. And instead of thinking that our children are going to get some kind of a bad feeling towards, or a tendency to want to take up violent acts themselves, it doesn't work like that. If one appreciates Krishna's activities in saving the innocent, then that's much better. Then he'll have the right image. And he won't have to waste his time watching all these nonsense, concocted animals and beasts and persons that are doing violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Those are some nice comments about using our time wisely in the service of Krishna. And we don't have to, we can give ourselves the opportunity to hear these. What I'm trying to say is we don't have to make an excuse to like hear these pastimes. We can just read them. I mean, I'm not saying what I'm thinking correctly, but there's so much pressure to do something great or be something great. But that's not in the material world. But that's not the goal in Krishna consciousness. The goal in Krishna consciousness is to become a servant, even Lord Chaitanya, he says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopi Bar Tu Padakamali or Das Anadas Das, that, well, before that, and it's a longer verse, but he's saying, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmana, or a sannyasi, or a Vanaprast, Grihasta, or Brahmachari. He doesn't identify as any of those things, and it's a lesson to us that this is a system that Krishna set up. Of course, we hear in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarna Maya Shrishtam. It's a material system made up of the four varnas and ashrams, which we should try to follow because it brings order in the material world. But ultimately, this spiritual path transcends that. It's Daivi Varnashram. It transcends those designations that happen, including like I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm whatever ethnicity, or whatever label we can put on ourselves. This path transcends that, and that's actually a relief. It's a relief because we don't have to speculate for what we should ultimately be doing in life. A lot of people, they suffer from lack of a goal, so and so they maybe turn to intoxication, or they turn to other things. They speculate some idea of what the purpose of life is. It should be to have a good life and have children, and those children have children, and I'm now a grandparent or a great grandparent, or so on. Or intoxication also is a way to cover their tendency to have existential thoughts, which, if they don't have the right information to guide those in the right direction, then they might fall into depression. So they just take some intoxication or something to relieve those thoughts about ultimately death, right? In contrast to having to worry about those material thoughts all the time, what should I do with my life? All these things, of course, we have to be practical, but we can turn to, again, the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and really start to recognize that this is what actually enlivens us. Hearing the Lord's prayers, or Brahma's prayers before this, and then how the Lord responds to his prayers, so we can understand, okay, through Shastra, the Lord's going to respond to our prayers. If we pray, he'll respond, which is so nice. And if we just have a little bit of awareness in our own life, we can see that Krishna is responding to us chanting the Maha Mantra. He's giving us service. We're asking Krishna, can I have service? O Lord, O energy of the Lord, O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. We're praying that over and over again. And if we're getting service, then Krishna's answering our prayers. Right? That's so nice. I found that in this passage we were reading, the part about how the demigods. Well, let me find the exact verse. Yeah. Okay. So on text 6, Maitreya is saying they had no knowledge of the Lord's reality. So the demigods had no knowledge of, who exactly Lord Vraha was. And we can see We have some examples of this, specifically with Indra, Lord Indra. In the 10th canto of my Bhagavatam, there's many pastimes where Krishna described, and Srila Prabhupada summarizes it. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's a summary study. It's another book by Srila Prabhupada. And he condenses it down into a book that gives us all the pastimes of Krishna. And so the one I was thinking about with Indra was the Govardhan pastime. So Indra thought he was so great and that he needed the residents of Braj to always offer him offerings every day. While Krishna was in the form of a little boy, convinced his father and wanted to follow that tradition that had come about over time, and instead to offer all of the offerings that were being prepared for Lord Indra, instead to offer them to Govardhan Hill. Because Krishna was describing how Govardhan Hill is actually providing everything you need in the form of grass for the cows, etc. But Indra didn't like that. He didn't like it that it was going to be without his offerings. So he came and he inundated the land of God, and Krishna so mercifully picked up the Govardhan Hill with his finger, just like a child might pick up a mushroom. This is from the field, and he held it up above his head for, was it 7 days? I can't remember the exact time. 7 days. So, and that prevented Reading from getting on residence from college. So, what I take from this passage that we read today is that we have the opportunity to really absorb ourselves in the Lord's pastimes. And that's exactly what this is for. And that's exactly what Srila Swami, why he was speaking. Because Mon-Fri only had 7 days to live. I don't know, have you heard of why Srimad Bhagavatam, how it came about? A little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, they told me about, he had 7 days to live after being cursed. So he gathered everybody, he's like, what can I do?
Yeah, so he's like, well, what's the ultimate one? It's to get back to Godhead. What we're hearing about the Gita, we have to bring our mind to another point. Young Bobby smiling about
Tam Vaiti Kunte Sarantad Bhava Bhavata.
So, whatever we think about the time of death, we'll attain. So, Mon-Fri and now us, we're trying to absorb ourselves in hearing about Krishna. Because we don't know when we're going to die. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. We see all kinds of stuff happen when we get home. Car crash, gas leak in the house blows up. So many crackers would die. Anyway, so we got a good opportunity today to absorb ourselves and Krishna's talk, hearing of Krishna. So if there's any comments or questions, just for 2 minutes over, but we could say something real quick if someone has a burning desire to spread. Yeah, say something real quick. Okay.
Some comments that you made and Maharaj made reminded me of two things. One thing is Urmila Devi Dasi. She gives some really nice lectures about meditating on Krishna's pastimes and how whatever situation we're in, we can relate it to Krishna's pastimes. And so that's one way that we can get more absorbed in the Bhagavatam, is thinking of relating some situation we have and finding answers in that way. And another thought I have is by Sheshadev Prabhu in one of his classes recently, he was sharing how his godbrothers were telling or asking him, why don't you speak about the current world events and speak on those and what's happening? And he said that he honestly just doesn't know what's going on, and he chooses that for a reason. He said that his way of speaking out against these current events is by speaking about the Lord's pastimes and Srimad Bhagavatam and teaching that and sharing that with others. And I really appreciated that comment. Because that's the real, as Prabhupada says, the panacea, the real medicine for all problems is hearing more about the Lord. So thank you very much.
Thank you. This is a spiritual revolution. This is the greatest revolution. This will get people out of the cycle of birth and death, which is actually part of their suffering. Because they're, well, all of us. So this is the ultimate message to tell others. This is the message of how to live and how to bring listen to us. They're looking out here in so many different ways. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. Srila Prabhupada.